Hello, everyone. Pastor Winston here. Dolores and I want to thank all of you for this wonderful party on the 21st. We were so overwhelmed with the gratitude and the outpouring of love that came from that I don't know if we're ever going to recover. It's taken us a week already, and we're still reeling from it, but it was just so beautiful, and thank you again. Well, today we're looking at Matthew 9, verses 9 through 13. It's a wonderful freedom miracle. It's a miracle in which Jesus really teaches us a great lesson. Let's take a look at that right away and see what we've got here. I'm going to decrease myself so that he might increase. How's that? And so here we are, the freedom from separation. Your Bibles probably say something like the calling of Matthew or the call of Matthew, but I think there's a bigger story here that Jesus is teaching us. And so the key verse, which appears in the lesson today, is "For I desire steadfast love." Mercy is another word for that. "I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings," comes from Hosea 6:6. And so as we look along here, we see as Jesus passed from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. Think of the atomic power that must have existed right there, where this guy just he drops everything and follows Jesus. But also think about Jesus. He's doing evangelism here. He's walking around doing his, we had a saying when I was in business years ago, MBWA, management by walking around, where Jesus is doing ministry by walking around. And he's doing his evangelism while he walks around. And this man gets up and follows him. He's electric. So it so happens, it appears, that Matthew's gone out and collected some of his buddies, his fellow sinners, tax collectors, and they're all having dinner in this house. And Jesus and his disciples are with them, and he's probably teaching them. Who knows? And the Pharisees, they see this, and gosh, they're just not happy with it. The Pharisees are the moral people of the day that are trying their best to fulfill the law, to live for God, to do everything right. We have a lot of people like that, and we're that way sometimes ourselves. So we have to kind of own that. But they say, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" What's that all about? So think about, first of all, Jesus called this guy as a sinner, a tax collector, the lowest of lowest, and gave him grace. Think of the depth of his forgiveness and his love for people. It's humbling to just think about that. Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? And I'm glad he does. But Jesus hears this. But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but the sinners." Now, we're called to be separate. We have the Exodus, we have the Levitical laws, we have the historical laws that say separate yourself from these sinful cultures and that kind of thing. But we also have the prophets. And the prophets are about going out. And we have a prophet like Hosea, and he says, "Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice." This is like the golden rule of the Old Testament, in many ways. Brunner says this, I kind of like this. He said, "Sacrifice calls for an act of will and a separation from others. But mercy is an act of what? Our time and our age, that we call a calling of the heart, and it seeks identification with those. We're called because we're full of Christ and the gospel to go out, and we want to go out and bring his love, because his love just, he cares about you physically. He cares about you morally. He cares about you spiritually. And so because of that, we care. And so we want to reach people. And so I also think that what Jesus is doing here is, he realizes there are times when spiritual, doctrines or theological doctrines can really be hurtful, and they can alienate people and make them feel unwanted. And that in order to be anybody, they'd have to be like these spiritual giants. And so maybe this isn't for just ordinary human beings. But the mercy here is obviously not one in which, Jesus advocates sinning or unity with the lifestyle and the behavior in any way. But an acknowledgement that they're people too. And while we don't agree with their practice or their behavior, we do care. Because Jesus' love is so great that it seeks, as I just said, the physical, the moral, and the spiritual well-being of all people. So this is February 3rd when I'm recording this. And wouldn't you know, Oswald Chambers has something to say about this. So I'm going to quote this for it, and we'll be signing off after this. But I just think this is typical Chambers. It's beautiful. We've been made as filth of the world, 2 Corinthians 4:13. He says, a true servant of Jesus Christ is the one who is willing to experience martyrdom for the reality of the gospel of God. When a moral person like these Pharisees is confronted with contempt, immorality, disloyalty, dishonesty, he's so repulsed by the offense that he turns away and in despair closes his heart to the offender. But the miracle of the redemptive reality of God is that the worst and the vilest offender can never exhaust the depths of his love. Paul did not say that God separated him to show what a wonderful man he could make of him, but to reveal his Son in me, in you, in me, and others. This week, take a chance. See how God might allow you to reveal Jesus in others. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.